Welcome to the Seaman Podcast, a show where artists and musicians with an axe to grind throw things deep into the abyss of the Seaman. Transphobia, racism, ableism, anti-Semitism, sexism, and homophobia, it all gets dumped on the trash! How's it going, everyone? Welcome to the motherfucking Seaman Podcast. It's me, everyone's favourite, big voluptuous, delicious daddy. It's the Right Reverend of the Pentecostal Church of the Seaman. It's Big Tasty, and I'm here on my own. Another week on my own. I did a Q&A not too long ago. Life's been really busy, and I've been finding it hard, well, not just for me, for everyone it seems, because I've been finding it really hard to cement down a guest that we both have the same free time, and I've been playing shows, I've been working, I've been doing this, I've been doing that. So I thought, instead of missing another week, because I really don't want to miss weeks, but sometimes I have to, but this week I really didn't want to, so I thought, I'll ask you guys, and you guys can send me in some things, some problems from your life, and I'm going to try my best to be agony aunt or agony uncle to these problems. I feel like out of all the things in life that I'm good at, I feel like I feel like I'm quite wise. I feel like I'm not very good at giving myself advice, but I think I'm alright at helping people out, or at least I try to be. It's very easy for me to say, this could be terrible advice, I could give you the worst advice ever. In fact, I don't really recommend following any of the advice I give. I'm sure this is going to be very rambly. I'm going to try my best not to repeat myself. But I'm just here, I'm reading the messages, I'm just going off the top of the dome, and we're just going to have a nice time, have a little chat. Now, before we get going, I'm going to quickly thank my Patreons for this month, just so I don't forget. So thank you to Aidan, Adam, James, Kate, Christine, Froggy, Spoolbags, Tim, Alex, Sniff, Jochen, CB, Fee and Peg, Rory, EJ, Jimmy, Mike, David, Will, Sarah, Matt, Ollie, Alex, Chris, Dale, Caroline, Dave, Will, and Cody. Thank you for supporting the show. Thank you all, as always, to Cold Press CBD. Go to cold-press.io and use code SIMON10, all caps, for 10% off. 10% off your first month's order of vegan CBD gummy bears. They've been supporting the show for a while now, and it's really appreciated. Right now, like I said, when I asked people to send in things for me to agonize over, I expected some silly ones, but I was also hoping to get some serious ones, and some of the ones that did come in were serious, and that's fine. I'm going to do my best to give honest and genuine advice. So let's crack into it, shall we? Dear Seaman, what is your advice for someone wanting to front a band, but worried about people laughing? I feel like this advice is going to come up a lot during this episode, but my advice is just to jump in and do it. It can be difficult, starting a band if you're new to this, because it's hard to find musicians. Like, if I wanted to start a band tomorrow, it'd be fairly easy, because I just bit my tongue. It'd be fairly easy, because all I have to do is just call up my friends that I know are musicians, and I get into it. So I would say, just worry about getting the band together first, and then worry about people laughing later. But I wouldn't worry about people laughing, because you have to remember that you are in a position of power in this moment. Like, you are on stage, you have the microphone, they're watching you. Like, if they don't want to watch you, they can turn around and walk out, but you're there performing and the attention is on you, and you need to take that power and use it as a suit of armor, as like a free ticket out of embarrassment. If you fuck up, then just make it look like you did it on purpose. And if people are laughing at you, who cares? You're cool, you're a rock star, you're on stage, you're killing it, you're doing shit that they can't do, you're putting yourself out there and letting yourself be exposed and vulnerable, and you're riding the wave and becoming powerful because of it. So I would just say, fuck what other people think, and just go out there and create and perform for the love of creating and performing. And if you are playing and you see people laughing at you, who cares? Who cares? It's your show. People are there to see you, not them. they probably paid money as well, so the money's going in your pocket, so it really doesn't matter. And most likely you'll never see these people again, because if they're laughing and didn't enjoy it, then they won't see you again, and then fuck them, doesn't matter. Just perform for yourself. Right, so Dear Tasty, can you agonise for me over my issue of being too loyal to my own detriment? It's mainly been a problem with jobs and such. I can relate to this. I come from a background of chefing in kind of rather high-end, intense kitchens, and so I know what it's like to kind of put your body and your mental health on the line for a job that you really believe in, and it can be difficult, because loyalty is a good thing. It's important to be loyal, especially if you really care about it, but I think there is a line that needs to be drawn when loyalty becomes, when you're being disloyal to yourself, when you're no longer putting your needs and your requirements as a human being first. I think if you become so loyal that you put them secondary to work, to a relationship, to a friendship, to a hobby, to anything, then I think you need to take a step back and recalibrate the boundaries. Because if you're not looking after yourself, then you can't put 100% into your job. And if you're trying to put 100% into your job, then it's just going to keep crumbling and crumbling until you break down. And no one wants that. So I think another important thing is to see what you're getting out of the relationship with your job. What are you getting out of it? I mean, obviously you're getting paid, but what else are you getting out of it? Are you getting the experience you need to move higher? Are you feeling emotionally rewarded? Do you feel fulfilled creatively? Like, do you have friends there that you feel close to? Look at these things and just think, is the juice worth the squeeze? And if it's not, then I think it's time to maybe take a few days off, really look at what you want to do in your life, and just take the first step. I mean, obviously, it's easy for me to say, think about what you want to do in your life and take the first step, because, it's not as easy as that. I understand that. But it's a way to sort of decipher what you want to do in your life is look at what hasn't worked in the past. And if this job is not working for you and you feel drained and you feel like your loyalty is not being rewarded, then maybe this isn't for you and you should try something else. But, in this economy, it's really hard to stop working because everything is just so much money and everything requires so much money, so it can be quite scary and almost feel impossible to leave work to pursue happiness. But we are only on this world for a short amount of time, and you have to do what makes you feel happy and fulfilled in your life. So I think my advice would be, look at what you're getting out of your loyalty. Is your loyalty being rewarded in your job? And if not, recalibrate who you're being loyal to, and it should be being loyal to yourself first. That's what I would say. Dear Big Tasty, I've been struggling to find a cryptid to call my own. How do I go about attracting a beast of the same caliber as Bigfoot? Well, me and Bigfoot met very serendipitously in the forest. I was out on a stroll, and I just happened to have caught him on a good day, and our eyes locked, and the rest is history. I think a lot of it starts with belief in that you can find love. You have to manifest it before you can achieve it. So I think manifest destiny is big. Are you asking me to help you find the cryptid that's right for you, or are you looking for me to help you just kind of get your foot through the door in finding mythological creatures? Because size is a big one. Bigfoot is edge case. He's a big fella, but I can take a big ham candle. So, I think look at this. And also, are you receiving in this relationship? Is it an asexual relationship? Is it purely going to be for comfort and intimacy? Is it of a non-sexual nature? Because maybe you could find yourself a nice mermaid who you can just have long conversations into the night with, and there not be much of a sexual relationship, but companionship. Or if you really want to destroy your life, you could get on a rowboat, go to Loch Ness, and just start throwing boxes of chocolates and Valentine's Day cards into the loch, and hopefully Nessie will rear her monstrous head and give you a kiss on the cheek. I feel like Mothman might be adequate in size, comparable to the human form, and I feel like if the legends are true, I feel like Mothman would be quite a generous lover. So you could look in that direction, or if you just want to get wild and crazy, you could find El Chupacabra in Mexico and just get your goat sucked all day long. So I think if you're trying to find the cryptid that's right for you, then look at those categories and find which one fits you best. And I think, when it comes to like attracting the one you want, I think just go to the place where they seem to congregate, and just be patient. Patience is a virtue when it comes to cryptozoological philia, and I think that's a good place to start. Dear Big Tasty, they just want to say hello, so that's nice. Hello, I love you. And they want to ask about dealing with the feeling like you're always behind, always feeling slow and stupid, like you're just waiting for people to find out you're a grade A idiot. Well, it's quite difficult to reverse internalized negative thoughts like that, because that's you being cruel to yourself first and foremost, and that's something that obviously like a therapist would be able to help you out with that more. And I'm not a therapist; I'm just a fat man at his desk at the minute. But I will say is that feels like you're living your life and judging your performance on someone else's expectations. I feel like you're looking at what society would expect from a citizen and judging yourself as not being on the same wavelength, and then damning yourself as stupid or slow. And the last part of that, where you talk about just waiting for people to sort of find you out as being an idiot, that's there's an imposter syndrome in there. There's a bit of you're feeling like you're kind of just scraping by, and sooner or later you're going to be found out as not being smart enough or worthy enough. It's important to remember though that though our brain chemistry is all different, we're all made of the same bits, and I feel like everyone is plagued by these feelings. Not maybe as constant as maybe how you're feeling, but at least at some point in their life, we judge ourselves by this compass that we all have to work as hard as we can, and if we're not contributing, we're not doing this, we're not. But at the end of the day, like when life is over and you're in your bed, you have to look back at your life, and the only person whose opinion of you that really matters is yourself. Like, were you happy with yourself? Were you comfortable with yourself? Are you okay with yourself? Like, it doesn't matter what anyone else thought about you in your life, or it doesn't matter what anyone else thinks of your progress or how well you do things or your intelligence. Is how you feel. So I think the first step of that is separating what other people think about you from like how you feel about you. And if you can work at your own pace and understand and realize that not everyone works at the same pace, then I think you can start to separate those two feelings. It's easier said than done. I know a lot of what I say in this episode is easier said than done, but I think you need to stop comparing yourself to other people's work rates, work schedules, and just allow yourself to work at a pace that's comfortable for you, and not what everyone else expects of you. And truth be told, I don't think anyone really expects anything of you. I think it's probably just this societal pressure that we all have, that we all think we're being judged by everyone else, but really we're all just trying to scrape by and do our best. So I think if you can just do your best, that's all you can do. And you're not stupid, you're intelligent, you're smart, you're amazing, you've gotten so far, and just keep going, but at your pace. Don't work at other people's paces, and fuck what anyone else thinks, because at the end of the day, it just matters that you were kind to yourself, and I think you need to be kinder to yourself. Like I said, easier said than done, but it all starts with being kind to yourself, and then I would hope that eventually these feelings would go away, because if the only person you're trying to impress is yourself and you're being kind to yourself, then there's never really going to be a feeling of letting people down. Well, I hope that made sense. I felt like that was really rambly, but I'm doing my best. Dear Big Tasty, any tips on battling anxiety on returning to practice rooms and gigs after a lengthy absence? It's hard. I mean, we all felt it. Or anyone that had to return to play music and practice after the pandemic, it was scary, because gigs are places of large amounts of people sweating and breathing hard in each other's ears, and there's no real way of getting around it. Like, people tried to put on shows in the pandemic where people were kind of sitting far away from each other or standing in predetermined squares, and it's not the same. So when we were, given the okay to get back into it, it was kind of 0 to 60, or 0 to 1,000, really. You go from being very far away from everyone, not even being able to see your own family, to being packed in a room 100 deep, shoulder to shoulder, sweating, breathing hard, rubbing up against people, screaming your lungs out from a stage at people when, you've been almost afraid to, take your mask off around your mum. So, like, after the pandemic, I think we all had to deal with this universal ripping of the plaster. And that's kind of how I would approach it. I would just rip the plaster off. It can feel very easy to kind of like ease yourself into a hot bath, but do genuinely think that the best way is just to go in there full force, head first, take a leap of faith, and you'll be surprised at how quickly your body and your brain will get back to that feeling it was before. Like, everyone's different. Everyone deals with anxiety differently. I still have some social anxiety issues that I didn't really have before the pandemic, since coming back to shows, where I feel very overwhelmed with crowds, because I got so used to kind of living in a silent brain space, and now being surrounded by people that are all talking at me at once and grabbing at me and wanting my attention, it was hard to process that. So I guess there's some good that can come out of just easing yourself in. Like, go to a practice room, just play music with your friends, allow yourself to be sweaty with the small amount of people you play music with, and then when it comes to a show, just get in there and do it. Like, it's not going to get any easier. It's not going to change. You just have to be brave and go for it. And I believe in you. I know you can do it. And if you go and you do it, and your brain tells you no, listen to your brain. Like, don't force yourself to do something you're uncomfortable with. So if you try it and it feels weird, then allow yourself to retreat to a place of comfort. Like, there's no shame. There's no shame in that. Like I said with the person before, like, do what is important for you. Work at a schedule that works for you. Work at your own pace. Don't let me, even though I told you to rip the plaster off and go and do it, don't let me or anyone press you to do something you're not comfortable with. So, look at yourself in the mirror, really think about it. Think, am I ready to do this? And if you are, just rip that plaster off and go. And you'll be glad you did, because there's a catharsis that playing a show gives you that's hard to find other places. And I felt like in the pandemic, I almost felt guilty because I felt like I didn't miss it very much. But I think that was just accumulated burnout and me enjoying having some time to think at home and not have to constantly be on the move. But when I got back out onto the road, I realised how much I needed it. So I think you might realise that too. But yeah, do it at your own pace. But when the time comes, just fucking dive in. You got this, bud. Okay, right, this one here, I'm going to add a little preemptive trigger warning for weight loss talk. So if you have trouble talking about sort of society's view on weight and weight gain and weight loss, then I would say skip the next 10 minutes or so. But this person wants to know, Dear Tasty, I like to eat and drink a lot, and I'm not willing to compromise much to lose weight. However, I know I will feel better about myself when I'm thinner. I think this is related to the constant messages I am bombarded with by society. What should I do, and will I ever learn to be happy with how I look? I know that you will learn to be happy with how you look. I want to preface and say that I think self-love can start from a deeper, more internal level, and not so much about how you look. But this question was about, how more of a physical appearance thing. So I'm going to say like learn to love yourself, like deep, like love who you are on like an emotional level, on a spiritual level, on like a moral level. Like I think that's really important. But we're all beautiful. The way the human body is outstanding. We're all gorgeous and stunning in our own ways, and like you said, you're bombarded with messages of society, of like the standards of beauty and what like their definition of a beautiful person. Because if they can trick you into thinking that what you are is not beautiful, but if you buy this you are beautiful, or if you do this you are beautiful, or if you spend money doing this you are beautiful, then they can make money off you. They're commodifying your own beauty in a way to profit from it. They're brainwashing you to hate yourself. I mean, that's obvious. We all know that. But after being on this planet and being bombarded by those messages, the brain will absorb that, no matter how hard you try. Like on some level, I don't care how confident you are of yourself, there is something that you're insecure about that has been directly put in your brain from this capitalistic society to make you feel like you have to buy this or do this to be a better, more beautiful human being. And a big part of that is weight. Fat phobia is one of the most underlooked and undersupported things, I feel. Even in the punk scene, like these people that are accepting and tolerant and will stand up for sexism and homophobia and racism and transphobia, but then on the same coin, like say and have the most fat phobic views. I see it all the time. People like sharing memes and jokes and at the expense of fat people and their fat friends. This can even run down to making fun of Boris Johnson by throwing a fat joke at him. And it's like, there's much worse things that Boris Johnson has done than just be fat. And I know, as a fat person, when I see my friends make those jokes, I feel like they're making those jokes about me. So I feel like this we all have this internalized fat phobia. Not that we feel that against other people, but we feel it against ourselves, because we believe that we would be better if we were thinner or we were smaller. So it's something we don't even realize, but you can look at other people that are plus size or big or anything and say they're beautiful, I love them and I think they're attractive no matter what. But then we look in ourselves and we point the mirror inwards, and the message doesn't ring true because of that brainwashing. So I think you shouldn't have to compromise with what you enjoy. Like if you love to eat and you love to drink, then you should be able to eat and drink as much as what makes you happy. It's a real tricky one, because yes, health is important. Health can often be sort of like a mask to cover up fat phobia. Like people will say, oh, I'm only judging you or saying this because I want you to be healthy. But you can be healthy and also be big. It's something I'm definitely not qualified to talk about this, apart from the fact that I am fat and that I live with these fat-phobic remarks always coming from myself, directed at myself, and from other people, whether they realize it or not. So I think the way we learn to love ourselves and is to find the piece of our brain that tells us that fat is ugly and cut it out. Or find the part of your brain that looks at other people that are fat and says, you are beautiful and you are worthy of love and your body is perfect, and apply the same logic to ourselves and be kind to ourselves. You say you feel better about yourself when you are thinner. Maybe look at why that is. Like, do you feel better about yourself when you're thinner because of society's message that thin is good and thin is pretty, or is it like a health thing? Like when you are carrying less weight, do you feel like you can do more, which makes you happier? Like, find what it is about being thin that makes you feel better about yourself. Really look at it, really talk to yourself about it, and then go from there. Because only you can really be the gauge of your own self-love and happiness. But this is what I would do, and I've been slowly trying to love myself, and a lot of learning those lessons is kind of erasing what other people think. It's like I said earlier on the show, like, it doesn't matter what other people think about you. You just have to learn to love yourself, which is really difficult, but I really believe that you can do it. I really, really do believe you can do it. I know that you're going to love how you look. You're going to learn to love who you are, and I think it's all going to work out for you. Dear Big Tasty, what can I wear to a fancy dress party without A, having to try hard or make something, B, look overly sexualized, or C, spending lots of money on an outfit? I guess it really depends on what kind of party you're going to. Sometimes it can be easier if you're like going to some kind of themed party, like if it's like gangster themed or rockstar themed, or it's like when you send your kid to World Book Day or something, or if it's like a Halloween party, or let's say it's a Halloween party. Like if it's a Halloween party, the most easiest thing to do is just go as a zombie. Just get some fake blood, slap it on your chin and around your mouth, do your eye makeup so it looks all gaunt, scruff your hair up, and put some dirt on your clothes, and boom, you're a zombie. I remember when I was a kid, my mum would just put a black bin bag over me, and she'd be like, "You're a vampire." So just be creative, and also like dress how you want to dress. Like if you want to paint your face orange and sellotape a bit of green plastic bag to your head and say, "I'm a carrot," then you're a fucking carrot. If other people are like, "You're not a carrot," be like, "Well, I am a carrot because I dress like a carrot and it's my decision and I'm a carrot." So I think remove the pressures of what other people wear and just put on what you want and be happy. Anything can be made. You could put on a red t-shirt and be like, "I am a ketchup bottle." Simple things like that. But if you go to a lot of fancy dress parties, maybe just find cheap around Halloween, like buy a few of the staples, buy the fairy wings or the devil horns or the fake vampire teeth or fake blood, and just keep them in a drawer for like the last minute costume, something you can just throw like I think I saw Simon Pegg talk about Shaun of the Dead, and he said that they sort of purposefully made Shaun really easy for people to dress up in fancy dress with, because he's just a white shirt with a red tie and a name badge and blood on it, and you're Shaun from Shaun of the Dead. Maybe find characters from films that have very distinctive clothes that are easy to replicate, and then do that. You could wear a suit and a tie and black shades, you're in the Men in Black. You could wear a black coat with black clothes and black shades, you're in the Matrix. Little things like that. I feel like those are easy fancy dress options. Okay, this one I'm definitely definitely underqualified to answer, but I'm going to try my best because I think this is an important conversation and something that's definitely affected me in my life. I'll try my best to give you some wisdom on this one. But dear Tasty, I'm in an open relationship and would like people in open relationships to be more open about it, to normalise it, and to counter the societal mononormative view. However, being open about it seems to make people in monogamous relationships very defensive. It leads to people assuming I want to sleep with them, and my relationships are also none of anyone else's business, which is true. Is there any good way forward to reconcile these two opposing views? It is complicated. It's that one's really tricky, especially for me because I'm not the best in relationships. My track record of relationships is never good, and I've kind of found that in life I learned that maybe I don't need to be in a relationship. Maybe I'm best when I'm on my own, and that's fine too. But that's not the question. I'm talking about myself. But your relationship is no one else's business. So I guess the only people you really need to be open with about your open relationship is, I guess, people that you're interested in forming some kind of intimate relationship with, so that they know that, hey, it's okay, I'm in a relationship, but it's open. Feel free to flirt back with me if you feel so comfortable. It's definitely something that needs to be normalized. I think, obviously, monogamy is something that's kind of accepted societally as like the norm. So anything outside of the norm is always going to raise eyebrows, and people that don't really get it will always be like, well, maybe they're not happy with each other, so they have to cheat or something. But it's not cheating if it's open. Like, people need to understand that. It's the same with polyamory. There has to be very strong communication of what is and what's not okay, rules set, and I guess people that aren't privy to those rules and these conversations aren't really going to understand it. So this is where like the importance of openness comes in. But like you said, people in monogamous relationships that you're friends with or whatever, that you tell about these conversations and rules, they are going to be judgmental. And there's always that thought of, like you said, oh, are they trying to have sex with me? I feel like this is where a lot of homophobia comes from. A lot of this is totally random, but I feel like a lot of people's sort of baseline homophobic views comes from this feeling of like self-importance of, okay, I'm a bloke and my friend is gay, therefore he wants to fuck me because of course he does. I'm the main character in my story, and why would he not want to fuck me? And I guess if your friends are hearing that you're in an open relationship, they think, well, they must want to fuck me too because they're in a relationship that allows it to happen. And I guess the only way to really combat that is by having very firm and very honest communication with people like that, and just say, hey, I'm open, but that doesn't mean I want to fuck everyone or anyone. Like, you can be in an open relationship and still act fairly monogamously. It's just that the rules are different if things like that came along. So I really don't know how to approach this. Like you said, it's these views are very opposing. Trying to be open and communicative about it in a way where it kind of can normalize the stigma, but also it's no one else's business, so why should you have to? I think the only way to really approach it is just, like I said, communicate as honestly and as bluntly as you can to those that it is important to. And if you feel comfortable to like maybe broadcast it to the world, put out a post, put out a blog or an article somewhere, just write down like, hey, this is my life, and I think everyone that I'm friends with should respect it and understand that this is what it is. I don't want to assume, but that's what I would say. I'd say communication is key. A lot of I believe a lot of the biggest problems in the world and how most people kind of get in situations where they feel like this is due to just lack of communication. So I think, I think just communicate. Or not. You could completely ignore everything I've said because what the fuck do I know? But yeah. I mean, I'm proud of you for just, letting me know. I mean, just you sending that message itself, is big, so good job. Dear Big Tasty, my problem is I feel like I don't belong anywhere and no one wants me around. I can relate to that feeling, that's a common feeling. And it sucks. It's a real difficult thing to struggle with on the daily, It's so easy to fall into these ruts of loneliness where, without even realizing it, we're almost like self-imposing our own solitude. Because when you get it in your head that you don't belong somewhere and no one wants you around, sometimes we don't reach out as much as maybe we should, because we have this feeling that people don't want to hear from me, I don't belong anywhere, I have no one that cares, and in doing so we stop communicating and we stop reaching out for help. And when that's because we're not reaching out, sometimes the communication shuts down on both ends, right? Because we're not speaking so much because we feel like we don't belong. So people don't reach out to us as much because maybe, I don't know. So that's when this sort of vicious cycle of isolation continues, where you're not hearing from people, but you're not hearing from people because you're not reaching out, and then you don't feel like you belong, and because you don't feel like you don't belong, you don't reach out, and this continues this never-ending cycle of solitary negative feelings, and our feelings about how our place in the world is, and the only real way to combat it is just to communicate and let people know how you feel. Which is scary, because when you feel like you don't belong and no one wants you around, the last thing you want to do is go to the people that you think used to be your friends when really they are still your friends, and say, hey, how come you guys don't want me around, or whatever. It's hard to take that step and reach out to people and say, I feel like this, because there's always that fear of being ignored, the fear that maybe they'll confirm your feelings as true, and it's like, how do you live with that? So my advice for that is, I would say to you that you do belong, and people love you. Like, people love what you do, people love who you are as a person. You have many friends, and though we make mistakes sometimes, that doesn't cement who you are as a person forever. And like, the easiest way to get over a mistake that we make is to learn from those mistakes and move forward positively. It can be very easy to fall into like a pit of sulk and self-punishment, because when we fuck up, we feel like we're not worthy of nice things, so we punish ourselves, and then the cycle just gets crueler and crueler and crueler. You need to learn how to forgive yourself and let yourself be embraced by your friends, because people care, and despite what your brain tells you, you do belong, you do have a place, you're important, and people love you. So I would say, reach out in a way that's direct and say, hey, I'm in a bad place because of this. If you have the time and mental capacity, could you please give me some reassurance that I'm important? And I think you'll be surprised by the response you get from people. Like I said, I'm not a therapist, but that would be my advice to you on that one. I love you, buddy. Dear Big Tasty, the woman before me in Costa got the last of the oat milk before I did, and it ruined my day because I had to get almond milk instead. I feel like I should be allowed to duel that woman. So are you looking for advice on whether you should be allowed to duel that woman, or advice on how you would duel that woman? Because I think, is violence really the answer? Is almond milk really that bad? I mean, oat milk is nice, but like, is it worth getting into combat for in replacement to almond milk? Excuse me. I think I think I don't think you should be allowed to duel that woman. I mean, she didn't know it was going to be the last of the oat milk. I think if she intentionally knew that it was the last of the oat milk and got to it as a way to spite you and a way to ruin your day on purpose, I feel like she's a terrible person, and maybe she needs to take a long look at herself. But I think you should be above having to get physically violent with that person. Yes, oat milk is superior to almond milk in coffee, but is violence the answer? I don't think so. So I think maybe point your aggression in a different direction, and be grateful for what you do have. It could have been soy milk. Think about that. If it was soy milk, then I would understand the aggression. This is going to be my last one, because I feel like this is a long time to listen to me ramble on about things that I'm unqualified to talk about. So this will be my last one. If you guys enjoyed this, thank you for listening to me, and I genuinely hope that this is advice worth taking. I tried to approach this as serious as I could. I know it's quite easy to. I could have just been like, well, just fucking call him a cunt and get your dick out, blah, blah. Like it'd be easy to be silly, but I wanted to approach it with some earnest. So maybe in the future I can do more like this. Let me know how you feel. But anyway, dear Big Tasty, I've moved somewhere new and I don't know many people, and I'm kind of just clinging to the people that I know and not doing much by myself anymore. It feels like I don't really know who I am anymore. How do I get back to myself? I guess an important question is, what was it you used to do before you moved? Like, how did you spend your time, and what would you necessitate as yourself before all this? Like, what made up your personality before you were kind of taken out of that environment and put somewhere new? We could find those bits, like maybe you went to certain restaurants, met up with certain people, went to certain clubs, and just maybe we can start to maybe find the equivalent to that, to where you are. It can be difficult to escape the comfort blanket of those we know in places where we feel isolated and different, because they're there. So why would you do anything else? They're right there. You can hold on to them and feel normality and comfort. But I think there is strength in breaking new ground. I think maybe you could start by taking yourself on dates. Like, take yourself to the movies, take yourself to a cafe, take yourself to a restaurant, to a museum, if these things are close to you. If they're not accessible, then maybe you could go to a local pub, or start becoming friendly with like the local shopkeeper, and say hello, my name is blah blah blah, and then form a relationship. Maybe look on places like Reddit or online, for like communities and people in the area that sort of share similar views. A way to do that I found is maybe go on some dating sites, but with a very clear indication on your page that you're looking for friends or like-minded people, because you might be surprised of who you find on there. A lot of my closest friends I've met on Tinder in the past, and they're still friends to this day. So I think it's like I said to the person before about getting out there and playing shows, it's getting to a place where you feel like you're ready, and then ripping the plaster off and just making moves and taking steps in the right direction. Whether, I'd say take yourself on some dates. If you see people that look like the kind of people you'd like to talk to, just go up and say, hi, I'm blah blah blah. I'm not from around here. Are you from around here? Oh, you're from here? Well, what would you recommend doing in the area? Oh, that's cool. Like, would you like to do that with me sometime? Are you on Instagram? And like I said before, a million times on the show already, it's easier said than done. It can be difficult approaching people, but I'm doing this anonymously. But I know you, and I know that you're really good at being confident with new people. And so I think you should let yourself be a wonderful, beautiful butterfly, and spread your wings and let people see yourself out there. This all could be a bunch of pish posh, and I'm sure you might be listening to this and being like, Simon, that's not going to work. You don't know how it is. You don't know what it's like. I don't. But that would be the steps I would take, I think, if I moved somewhere new. Yeah, take yourself on dates. Get on Tinder with very clear indications of what you want. Speak to people. Become friends with the local barmaid, the local corner shop worker, local taxi driver, anything. Just become a local, and then when you're a local, you'll have something in common with everyone else. So yeah, that's what I would say. I hope any of that was helpful for anyone, or at least entertaining to listen to. I know it wasn't particularly funny or silly, but this show isn't always funny or silly. Speaking of being funny or silly, I'm going to have to go now because I'm about to do some stand-up. My second attempt ever at stand-up. I don't really talk about it much because I'm still new to it, and I don't want people to really know because I want to kind of ease into it on my own pace, and I feel like by doing that in a realm of strangers makes things a bit easier for me. So after that, when you're listening to this, it will already be too late, so you can't come and see. But if you are listening to this tomorrow, as in Wednesday, or if you're listening to this in the future, is what's just been released, is I'm on the new episode of the Hey Poopy podcast, because they came on my show and I went on their show. So if you want to hear me talk about my poo and what it's like to tour in a band with an inflammatory bowel disease and pooing yourself on stage, then go check out the Hey Poopy podcast. I'm on there. It was a really good time. I love those guys, and there's lots of laughs. So if you want to hear something a bit more funny and silly and laughy, go check out that episode. Yeah, I think that's all I've got for this week. So thank you for everyone who wrote in, and thank you for your genuine questions, and I'm really proud of all of you for reaching out, and I hope you will find resolutions to what you need. And I if you're listening to this, I love you, I care about you. If you're ever in a place where you feel like you need to reach out to someone, I'm always here, within reason. I've got my own stuff, but I will always try to get back to you and be supportive of you, so don't be afraid to reach out to me. I'm always here. I appreciate you. So yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Later. Hey guys, it's me, Big Tasty. I just wanted to say cheers for listening to this week's episode, and I hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as I enjoyed making it. Now, if you feel so inclined, you should come check out my Patreon page. You can sign up for as little as £1 a month, and you get weekly exclusive video tier lists and monthly mail-outs with things such as stickers and fabric patches, zines and art prints. Hey, and if you can't spare the money right now, I totally understand. No pressure. I'm going to keep making episodes regardless, but if you can support financially, it really helps the show. Just keep moving on. And then another way you can help is just to follow us on stuff like Twitter and Instagram at Seaman Podcast, and share it around to people that you think might like this filthy shit. Anyway, love you guys, appreciate you, and I'll see you next week.